Now the fun part, which is the negative aspects of offer culture. So I'm hoping that people at minimum, if you had any questions, are feeling a bit more informed about kind of the process, what an offer is, how offers vary by levels, and then who is being prioritized for offers right now throughout the recruiting process. But the negative part of it to me, Jeff, is so much more fascinating because I really believe we are in a very dark, dark time when it comes to amateur athletics. I don't believe that that's specific to North Carolina, but certainly the fact that we're in North Carolina, we get to see it firsthand from two different perspectives. So what are some of the things that you're seeing that you would describe as like negative aspects of offer culture?
I think kids just get too carried away and the whole timing of it all. Really, I think I said it earlier, but it just goes back to running your own race and just understanding that this is a process. And kind of to your earlier point, that you are not being prioritized. You are fourth on the list at the best. So
Mhm.
um, I think the kind of the instant gratification, the expectation that um, you should have offers uh, is now especially just it's not
Dangerous.
warranted. Yeah,
Yes.
it's dangerous. So I think that's kind of my one of my bigger qualms with the whole thing.
Yeah, I think that for me, what you said and what that makes me think of is the impact of social media and the way that it has kind of forget highlight culture. Like forget that. That's a totally separate conversation we've already touched on a few times. But it really brings me to think about the quote, comparison is the thief of joy. When you start to see people get offers, you naturally compare yourself to them. Why do they have this? And why am I not in a situation where I have that? I feel like I'm putting in the work. I don't feel like they're working as hard as me. I'm better than X, Y, and Z. And so that's negative for a couple of different reasons. For one, it's cyclical, right? And here's how. So, for one, you have to build your brand individually in the world of NIL and in this space that you're in. You want to make yourself more marketable, whether it be for other scholarship opportunities or NIL dollars. One way or another, that's a part of basketball for some of the higher profile kids that we see. I do think that all kids, as a result of that, get wrapped up in that culture when it isn't necessarily pertaining to them. Uh,
NIL.
yeah, right. Like you're not going to get it. Like I'm sorry. Like it's just what it is. You need to be told this as kids. Like that is not a realist. Get your money. You're scrapping and clawing right now. What do you mean get your money? Anyway, that's not actually a part of my point. But the biggest part of the point being cyclical is you have to have more celebration to build your brand, whether it be from your team, your AAU program, your high school, you individually, whatever the case may be. By celebrating more, you're comparing more, just naturally. And as a result of comparing more, you have less appreciation for the fact that it's actually a pretty fantastic opportunity. So it's a very, like we just described, dangerous place to be because you're constantly in this cycle of like, who's posting this? And listen, I firsthand, like people who follow me on social media, I am very, very, very guilty of this. I
Yeah.
am extremely guilty of this. Here's the problem. If you don't do that, you ain't getting them, period. So there has to be a situation where it's like, yes, I have this amazing joy and just I'm so happy and proud of you. And I try and convey that more than anything else. But I think that for kids, it's kind of the same thing, right? If I'm posting this or I'm posting this highlight or this camp or whatever the case may be, I'm comparing myself immediately to others who may or may not have that same opportunity.
Yeah.
And that's tough because that takes focus away from the work, the appreciation, the knowledge of the timeline we just said. That to me is more important than anything because for all the 27s who are kind of rushing into this, guys, you don't need to rush. You need to work. And if you do that and you're in the right position, you're going to do just fine. 100%.
Imagine if we could just go back to a time with no social media. How great would that be?
I mean, I'll be honest with you. Like, I see the benefits, but I'm so, as a teacher, like, forget being as a coach, as an educator, as someone whose job it is to educate and mold the minds of kids, it's constant. It's a constant thing. It's a constant
Well,
battle.
like you
I
said,
fear for my children.
yeah. Well,
So, I mean, I don't know. I mean,
I
that's
fear for my dog too. So, well, no, and to your point, I think like we both contribute to this, so it's part of it.
right.
That said, I agree with everything you said. You can't keep comparing yourself to others. Um, each individual is different.
Yeah, I think that that's a great way to summarize my long-winded soliloquy of it. Here's another thing that I think is really negative, and I'd love to hear your take on this. Um, when we make everything about scholarship offers, in my opinion, we're taking away the human element of our interactions with others. And what I mean by that is, simply put, guys, coaches have lives too. They have lives. Like, my life is not exclusively centered around TBS or Team Loaded. Like, I will not miss a soccer game of my son. I will not miss a dance recital of my daughter. Like, I will prioritize time with my wife. I think that people sometimes think like, oh, well, why haven't they done this yet? Why haven't they? You don't know what they're going through in that experience where they are. Like, I've had to have real conversations with people just around me in that regard recently, where it's like, we can't rush the process of what someone wants to do in terms of someone else's recruitment. All we can do is continue to show up on a day-to-day basis and do what's right. But talk to us a little bit about like that idea of like coaches have lives as well.
I'm actually going to give you the opposite side of it because I think we both have a friend who, while that's very true, everything you said is true. It dictates his every thought, and man, losing a kid it kills him. So I think looking at the instead of the dehumanizing side of it, looking at the humanizing side of it, and what the back to what the offer represents, and I see these some of these conversations that and relationships that these coaches build with these kids that are really genuine, and all that to be for not to say these kids are putting on a facade, but to not appreciate all the time that's going into it. That's
Sure.
worth noting as well.
No, I think you're 100% right. And I think I was more coming at it from the perspective of like rushing a timeline
Yeah, I
and
mean,
understanding that like
right,
if a coach is taking time out of their day to call you,
right.
it's a big deal.
Yeah, yeah, I agree.
This isn't small potatoes.
Yeah,
Um, so I think that that's kind of a big one. You also mentioned a question before, and I'd love to hear your take on this as well. You said before we started recording that you've heard the question being asked by college coaches, do you want an offer from our school just to say that you have one? Can you speak more about that specifically?
yeah. I think now especially with the levels we were speaking about earlier, where you have to be particular with your who you're recruiting and the interest that you're showing these kids, and make sure it's mutual. A lot of these schools are not going to get left in the dark anymore. They are going to make sure that they're putting out offers that these kids are actually going to consider and that are of the appropriate level more often than not, um, in an attempt to then build these relationships with these kids rather than waste their time.
Mm.
You know,
Yeah, I think that I definitely hear what you're saying there. And I also think that it's a part of like, well, do you just want to say this? Like, do you
right?
just want, 1,000 likes?
Yeah,
And
and
so
that's the
show
other
up?
thing, the
Like,
social media aspect of it that we talked about earlier. It's the portrayal of something bigger than you are, and that goes back to these kids getting offered so early. That does nothing but give a false sense of hope and joy for kids that may never ever pan out, just so they can post something on social media, so that there's some sort of relationship between a program and a college coach that may not even be there by the time these kids are old enough to commit to an offer.
no, it's well said. Let's talk about what I've been most looking forward to this specific part of the conversation. This is what the 40 some minutes that we have been leading up to this is what I'm most excited for. Favor offers. negative circles around players, agents. I mean, this is kind of like the dark underside of what we're navigating right now. And here's what I will say. Not all circles are bad. Some circles are excellent. Not all agents are bad. Some agents are excellent. They advocate for their players in a way where they are going to support them in the absolute utmost of their abilities. Uh, but favor offers, man, I don't know that there's anything more detrimental to a kid's mental well-being and trust in the process. Can you talk a little bit about like what a favor offer is, or like how would you define it?
Sure, I think we've alluded to it several times, just in talking about these offers in general throughout the podcast. Favor offers typically are just usually in a relationship builder. More often than not, it's between a coach and a program,
Hmm.
um, or a school or what have you. Sometimes it's a play to get another kid in the long term. Um, but a lot of these offers you see will be put out to kids that everybody that sees the offer knows immediately that they can't go to that level.
Right.
Uh, even let's say it's a young kid even, but I think more often than not we see that these offers are just kind of falsified hope, just to attempt to build a relationship somewhere down the line.
Sure. So what I think about within this is it an attempt for a high school or travel basketball program to build their brand, or is it a genuine effort to help a kid reach their ultimate goal?
Right.
And to me, I can't think of a more honestly sickening way to navigate building your brand. Like it's a situation where I'll give an example. You're early in the process in your recruitment. You just finished your sophomore year of high school. You're in the process of deciding to go to a travel basketball program or a new high school or whatever the case may be. Hey, if you come here, we'll get you X, Y, and Z. So they get them, they post them, and they don't call you on June 15th. That to me would be a concern because if the offer was truly meant to show genuine interest in a kid and their potential, why then would they not contact the kid?
I remember a story a couple years back of a kid, talented kid. He basically was handled by this one coach from his freshman year, basically through the time he graduated. Division 1 level kid, and had offers. Thought probably wanted to go to a higher level than he was going to. Thought he had offers that were not real, and I remember him telling people that he had that offer. Someone advised him to go with the coach that he was talking to and called the head coach of that school. They called the head coach of that school. The head coach of that school had no idea who the kid was. So that's a prime example too of this kid had his entire high school life or trajectory career basically wasted, at the hands of someone who not only gained nothing out of it, but was basically just using this kid to kind of move forward. And that I think kind of speaks to what you're saying is this is something we see a lot nowadays. And you say it's sad to see people try to build their brand off of these kids, but sadly, that's become the reality we see, especially now where you have these travel ball coaches or high school coaches or what have you that are more interested in being a celebrity than a coach,
Hmm.
and more interested in the gimmicks of it all and the status
Right.
than the actual basketball of it all and helping the kids.
Sure.
Like I think we get lost in the shuffle of this is what we were all supposed to be in it for, is helping kids at the end of the day. And there's a lot of narcissism and
Yeah.
arrogance, I think, throughout the landscape.
Yeah, I think that to me, that point that you just made really makes me think of, and I do want to reiterate, guys, like not all of the people in your circle are bad people.
Sure.
Like, not every agent that exists in this new age of NIL and all this stuff, not everyone is a bad person. No one is out there just trying to take advantage exclusively of kids. That's not how all people operate. Some people do operate like that. And so for me, I just really think that it's the biggest thing I thought of was you got to get around people that you legitimately can trust. And you've got to take their word for what it is, and you've got to make decisions as a group that are going to be in the best interest of the child. And I often think that in these day and age, in this day and age, we're seeing so many more of these situations where things are about clout, like you said, than they are about truly what's best for kids and their playing careers. And I really think that that's going to impact many kids negatively, especially at the emotional and the mental health level. The other thing that I'll tell you is when you get around people you can trust, you need to have people who have the network and the confidence to be able to call people on their nonsense and to be able to call those coaches directly. Because I promise you, when it comes to mine, I will call a coach directly in a second.
Me and mine's.
Just listen, there's no in between with me on this. And that's I think a big part of the illusion that we get into is it's important to have people around you that are going to have the network not to call and get you an offer that you haven't rightfully deserved, but to call people on the nonsense that they're spewing. Oh, I can get you this. What does that mean? Players, let me tell you something. The only person that can get you an offer is you. You're the main part of this. When you have the opportunity to showcase your skills, when you're in between the lines within the beautiful rectangle that's 94 feet, you have to do your part by outplaying somebody else. That's what has to happen. All this other mess, you can have people advocate for you. You can have people get coaches to the gym. You can have people call, text, email, do whatever. And trust me, I'll put myself up there with anybody that does that. Anyone. At the end of the day, you have to deliver. And that is the only person that deserves the credit. When you get the scholarship offer, when you earn it, it should mean that much more because you did that. That's my take on it. I don't want to give away too much of my sound off because I'm not going to go long-winded like I have for the rest of this episode. But I did want to say that because not enough times are we sitting there saying, hey, that kid earned that. They did that. Not, I made a call to do that. No, 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 no. Everybody's going to communicate. The kid has to play, period.
Too many people want to claim offers that the kid earned.
For
Ultimately, at the end of
what?
the day, I agree with everything you said. But I do think that it's worth noting there are a lot of good people out there that are in it for the right reason.
100%. Yes.
And obviously, we're talking about those who are not. So if this doesn't apply to you, disregard. And my last point on this topic is just clout versus credibility. And I think that is an important distinguishing factor that we need to have, not only whether we're talking about coaches or offers or whatever, but just understand that clout versus credibility. Credibility is what you desire. Clout is the rose-colored lenses that you're looking through, the false sense of whatever. Understand that at the end of the day, the real is what you're seeking out here.
Yeah. Real is rare, but real wins. 100%.